Welcome back to the Alaska Man Cave. And since my last video, I burnt up my old air compressor, and I've got a brand new one here behind me. She's pretty sweet. Going to be a great addition to the shop. So now I need to run a new air system. I was planning on doing it anyway, but now that I've got the new compressor, I think I ought to get all the piping run so I can have a legitimate compressed air system here in my shop. For my new compressed air system, I chose to go with copper pipe just for the thermal transfer effect, so I can help cool off all my air before I go through my desiccant filters and get it as dry as possible. So I'll be sweat soldering a bunch of copper together, and I'm going to make two main lines, one down each wall, and then from that I'll have drops coming down, and each drop is going to have a 6-inch rise and then go back over to the wall and come down. So it'll be something like this being the drop leg going down the wall. That way that'll eliminate an area where moisture won't be able to travel uphill if there's been any condensation inside the system. So we'll be putting several drops in and several loops in for cooling. I'm going to assume right off the bat you didn't come to my channel to learn how to sweat solder copper. I will go over a brief explanation, but I'm not all that great at it, but I can put it together, but by no means am I a professional plumber, and I'm not boasting my talent as a sweat solderer. So anyway, we'll get to it, and I'll start off by making one of these drop legs. The first thing I'm going to do is measure out and cut a 7-foot chunk for my drop. Grab my wheel cutter, line her up. Next thing we're going to want to do is do a good deburring of our cut. I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper, and I'm going to sand and clean the area where my fitting is going to go. I have the rest of our pieces here. We'll need to prep those also. Now I got our fitting brush. We'll go ahead and clean the inside of our fitting. And what we're doing here is we're removing all the oxides so we have a nice clean surface to bond to. The next step will be applying flux, and I'm only going to flux the area where my fitting's going to be, so I don't have a bunch of solder running everywhere. Now we got our joint set up in position. We're ready to start heating it up. I usually just heat up a general area at first, chase the moisture out, and then I'll start to isolate the heat on the joint I want to solder. Should be getting pretty close, and you can test it by just putting your solder on there. It's starting to melt, now it's starting to flow. We're going to push that in until we see it come all the way around. You got a drip on the bottom, we'll knock that off, and we'll get to this other side. That's another good joint. Looks good.
Now we'll just take a rag and clean everything up so our joints look nice and clean.
Not a professional, but I do have solder all the way around. They look like they all took well.
Now I'll start working on the drain leg. So I have a 6-inch drop below where my air fittings are going to hook in. And I'm going to solder those fittings starting from the outside where the fittings are thicker, and I'll work my way in.
And remember, solder will always flow towards the heat.
By having that 6-inch drop leg, any moisture that condensates inside my 7-foot vertical run from the header will fall to the bottom, where I can then open up a ball valve and let it drain out.
Go. Looks like all those will work. I got a few of the pieces set up and in place just to make sure everything's working right and looking good. So we're going to probably take some of those back down, do a little bit of soldering, and put it all back up and continue onward. I've got my air system all complete. I'm ready to go live. I've got everything hooked up. This will be the first time we turn on the valve. So let's come over here and turn this valve on. Let's hope we don't hear any leaks. Boy, that sure sounds good. So I've got my air compressor here in the corner, and then it goes up through a small cooling loop and up to the main line on the ceiling, which goes, you got a drop over there where it won't focus, all the way over there. And then it comes around this side of the shop, and then it drops down here next to my sink. And I'm not hearing any noise, so I think we have a leak-free air system. Of course, I'll go back through with some snoop and double check everything, but pretty happy with the way this looks. And then for the paint booth drop, coming out, I've got my particulate water and desiccant filter, my regulator. We go around the corner, and I've got 2 drops for paint guns. And then on the sandblaster, on its drop, comes down. We're going to go through another filter system, and then we're going to run down in here to the regulator, to the foot pedal, and into the blaster. Well, I'm super happy with the way my new air system turned out. I'm glad it's not leaking. That'd be a lot of chasing around. But like I said, I got to go through with some snoop and double check everything for leaks. But I'm pretty sure, just by the sound of things, that this is all in good shape. So, sorry there wasn't a little bit more action in the video, but honestly, I had to get this done in a hurry so I could get back up and running. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you got any questions, please give me a shout. Leave me in a comment down below and I'll certainly get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.